he is going to show you some new things in the industry and the way things are working for them. They've grown a lot, and I've been selling his product for 2010, I think, so quite a while. Never really had an unsatisfied customer. They maybe were unsatisfied because they didn't use it right, but it wasn't the product's problem. So it's a very good product. It works very well, and there's some new things. So thanks for coming, and it's all yours.
We are a coatings and stain and dye coatings removal manufacturer. We're currently located up in Bend, Oregon. That'll be for a few more months. We're going to move our facility to a little more friendly state, the opposite end of the country, from all the way up here to all the way down there. So we're going to head out to Tampa Bay. I'm up in Northern California, so I'm not going. So, but anyway, yes, thanks for coming this morning. I know many of you have used some Endurable, thought about using some Endurable, or have not, but would like to. So we're going to learn a little bit of the science, learn a little bit about concrete, talk a little bit about concrete, and then there's some stuff we can do outside. And by all means, if you guys want to experiment with stuff and not have me put the products down and stuff, there's really no wrong way to do it, except if you mix the sealer with acetone, that's a wrong way. But you can stain something and seal something with our system. If you don't like it, you can fix it, which is what draws people to the system. Not just for interior concrete, but for exterior. We are a very green company, so the products are very low VOC. They are very durable as well. So usually you don't see where those 2 points meet up. Like something very durable and toxic, or very green and it's not that long. So that's the whole premise of our company. So, but we make interior products. So like left-hand side there, that's our Endurable sealer, polished and burnished at a Cadillac dealership in Northern California. We've got exterior concrete that was restained and sealed at a place up here in Sacramento region. About 12,000 square foot of contractors stripped off some sealers and then recolored based on what the building owner wanted to do. So, like I said, why we're different, pretty non-toxic products. Our sealers, all of our products are safe to use down here in the LA Basin area, so well across the world and Europe. So Europe actually has tighter restrictions on coatings than they do here down. What's the acronym again? The
AQMD.
Yeah. So let's get that one mixed up with the southeastern one. Okay, so products. Got them all on there. We have the Endurable concrete stain, Endurable concrete sealer, armor, F1 sealer, the 2 stripping products, which take coatings off, and concrete guy, concrete hardener, which is identifier. Now we've added these 2 new guys here, the surface cleaner and the pH tester, which is pretty new. Now let's talk quite a bit about that. That's kind of more on the science we've been discovering with things. So there, in that bottle there's 3 colors in there, there's 2 colors in that one. So people want to see what they look like if they've been sitting for a while. They'll settle. Heavier pigments settle at the bottom, lighter ones go to the top. And so when you shake it up and you look at it and go, oh, well, this saddle one color doesn't look anything like it in there. This thing looks orangey. And so when you pour it out and mix it up with a carrying agent, you'll get the correct color. So but people want to see it in the bottle. So that's why we have clear bottles. And the smaller bottles, made it tough to shake them out and combine. So do with it. There's other people that are making some concentrated stains and such, but you can't really do with those. You can do with ours. What's cool about them is, again, you can mix them in a couple of carrying agents. You can mix them up in water, denatured alcohol, which you can't use here, acetone, which you can, and the coatings, so it can go into all of our sealers. So if you stain something, you have to seal it. This is not a coating. That stain's not a coating. Many other stains are coatings. They are made with acrylics, and so they're more, I would have to say, paint stains. So they do or do not have to be sealed. This has to be sealed. There is no film built with this product. So once you mix it in a carrying agent, spray it onto the surface, it'll dry out. The carrying agent will evaporate, water, acetone, And then you need to seal it with the Endurable concrete sealer or the F1 sealer, or you can use our concrete armor product. So, but again, there's semi-transparent stains. So when you're staining, we'll talk about this when we're working outside. Everything I'm going to talk about is if you're looking to go from a red colored concrete to a tan colored concrete, and you put a coat of saddle horn over it, you're going to get reddish saddle horn. It's semi-transparent. But we have ways to fix that. We can layer our stains, we can layer our sealers, and we can produce those color changes by doing so. And so we're working with color, which I had a conversation with someone yesterday on the phone. Working with color is easy and difficult if you know what colors counteract each other, and if you know what colors will alter, like our own colors. Like if you want a lighter gray, you can add white to it, but it's still going to have a little bit of that steel blue look to it, the storm cloud. If you want to get that steel blue out, you can add a little yellow. So when I put colors, like yellow and blue, they. So yeah, yellow, blue, and green. So that's how we make our green. So we have yellow and we have blue and we have green. So when you're trying to figure out what colors counteract each other, I had a hard time with that many years ago. And so I couldn't understand when I was staining red concrete with saddle horn, it just kept turning like an ugly colored reddish beige color. So I figured out I had to go backwards, add some gray to my saddle horn and some white, go 2 shades lighter, seal it, and then stain it again, the color of saddle horn to cover up the red. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So again, there's no binders, there's no acrylics, nothing like that. They're all concentrated, 100% UV stable, except for one color, which is Rage. Rage is slightly a little bit less UV stable. Red's a hard color to either cover up or to use to paint with. Ours doesn't matter. But they are UV stable, but they come on a color fast slide scale, and red is just a slight number underneath it. So. With a coat of concrete armor, I mix a gallon of water into it, trying to surface so it wouldn't soak in. The only thing working with this, and I do it 20 times a year, these boards, is that if you don't get enough millage before it starts to dry and soak in, the chips don't want to stick to it as much because it's meant to be put down and chipped over. It's like I said, once you get it out of the bucket, once you get it out of the sprayer, you need to get the chips on. So you can't just lay it out for 10 minutes and go chip it. So you want to work, like I said, like you would like an overlay system. Go out 4, 5, 6, 10 feet, depending on the manpower, start broadcasting after you roll. So. Tight surface. It's also one slope, so we're gonna have to mess around with it to get a little millage. If I just start rolling like I'm painting a house, it's gonna soak right in and dry in about 5 minutes. So we go that way. Yeah. I'm gonna do that. Product in the real world on something like this. If you're pouring it out or spraying it and you're getting the roller, I like to have my hand underneath the roller, just coming like this, and then laying it down and it'll just lay. You can also use a T-bar applicator. I saw one over here the other day. Dave's material. So you can pour it out and you run the T-bar and move it around. Now, I'm not a huge fan of a partial broadcast. You can do it here, with the stains and all that, I think it looks cheap, but that's the only deal. So when I first got into the business, the first thing I hated to do or not want to even look at was this. The best thing is the demos, if we were running such a big party packer, I just flipped up sideways. But you can't do that in the real world. So again, dip and roll, pour and roll, spray and roll, spray. You've got a bunch of. Yeah. I have contractors that would they'll get 3 years, some guys are going 5 years, they would reseal it 3 years for free. They put it within there, and those guys usually are charging more on the beginning. And so they would come in 3 years and put a coat of cedar on. That's the main program. People said, yeah, it's fine. These are experiences I found going across the United States training. But I think it's tough. I know what cedar can do. I've had it on the ground since 2010. I've just started seeing projects that I've been seeing them now. But it's got to be what you're comfortable with. And the concrete started off as a piece of garbage. He made it look amazing. You know, I think it's kind of tough to give them a 3-year or a 5-year unconditional warranty. So it's kind of a comfortability factor with what you're into. But I probably tell people that anything you're going to warranty unconditionally past 3 years, you know, contractor law here is a year. In other states, there is no law. So I think it's, for me, my whole thing is, my referral base is huge where I live. I see these people, they got a supermarket, they go to kids and basketball. And so I always had comfort knowing that I was going to see them and say, oh, hey, yeah, it's been 6 months and it's moving off. So that was security I already knew. So, and then as word got out, anyone else knew that. So that's why my company, that's why I work in my backyard. And my company still works there. Because I know what Endurable can do. So.
One's not quite enough.
Mix in water, acetone, or denatured alcohol. Why would I use one or the other? So you have to remember, water is a molecule, and then you put a color molecule into that. And so if you have a dense surface, you've got a color molecule and a water molecule that want to fight for space in the crevices of the concrete, the pores. So you can only put so much color down in water at one point before it starts to beat up and starts to move around. Eventually it will get absorbed into the surface, right? And then of course you stain it and you seal it and you lock it in. Acetone, it flashes off extremely fast. If you deliver a stain mixed in acetone to a surface about this height on a dense floor or even a porous floor, it'll touch the surface in liquid form and flash off in about 5 seconds or less. So if you spray it up here, it'll probably reach the surface in the particulated form dry, so you're going to have residue, which then you can walk on and leave a footprint, which then you got to cover up, which is you can do. You don't want to do that all the time. So something like this, super porous. Something 50 grit ground interior. Usually 50 grit. I mean, same with water. It'll one dry quick, and it'll give you even coverage. 150, 200 grit, probably not going to work with water. If it does, you're going to be there. You're going to be staining it, drying, staining it, drying, staining it, drying. Because you can only put so much water down before it beads up and goes somewhere. So you can flood the floor. You're just going to have to come back in an hour and a half for it to be dry. So that's all about porosity. Staining over the sealer, you can stain over the sealer with the stain mixed in water. So when we do that, if this swatch was my floor, I'd stain it, seal it with 2-part Endurable sealer, mix it 2 to 1. Once it's dry, I'll come back, put a T-bar coat on at 1 part water, 1 part mixed components. Once that dries, I've got a surface now that had less moisture in it, and I can then introduce moisture to it. So I can add the stain mixed in water, I can flood a couple colors. It takes a while for the stain to get absorbed into the sealer, but it gives you a kind of a cool marbleized look. It takes time. But there were instances where I needed to only use water, no solvents. So just wineries, they didn't want any chemicals, no acetones, no solvents. So it takes time. So you've got a lot of butt time. So I just charge for something. I can't do the same job I would do in 2 days. I got to do it in 4 days, so I'm charging them that extra time. But I'm still using minimal amounts of material. Hey, it's dripping. These sprayers actually work really well. I've never.
For the first time.
Yeah, after a few uses.
Yeah, after a few uses.
But you can usually touch that stuff up. But I don't.
Just go a little heavier.
Yeah.
We're the guy that cleaned it last.
That was me. That's it. So something porous. I mean, that's all you need. You don't need.
What's your dilution ratio?
So this mixes with 1 gallon of a carrying liquid.
For each little
For each small 1 gallon size, and we have a 5 gallon size.
Okay.
And you can change that. You can dilute it. You can increase. So you could sometimes when I wanted to work faster, I would just mix up the like 3 gallons of water, 3 gallons of acetone, and put a 5 gallon container in there. If I wanted to make sure I was going to cover that floor the way I wanted to, I'd hammer it. I didn't want to do 2 passes and wait for it. So. Okay.
This will be one is a fly fishing.
Yes. I know where to find the rag. I got it in these days. Never mind, it was so brown now I couldn't tell it was a rag. So. No, I get this one here now. Okay. So again, when you're staining, you do something as simple as that and seal it. And the areas where I sprayed heavier will be a little darker blue. The areas where I sprayed lighter, not as much, will be lighter. It'll be red, green, orange, yellow, brown. And that could be the desired look for somebody, especially on interiors. There's jobs where I did an interior floor with on one of the sliders that's a little blue. in it. I did that floor, and all they wanted was a light gray, and the concrete was already light gray, and they wanted topaz. So I sprayed like 2,000 square feet. I sprayed maybe 2 gallons of stain mixed on acetone, sealed it 3 times, walked away. We got $5 a foot for that floor. That was including prep. I paid my prep guy Matt about 25 to prep it. So easy. Not a lot of material. So. The thing about the stain that's funny is this is now permanently delivered. I can't. Acetone is not going to primary colors for some reason. The Roy D bit, they alter the color of these things crazily. Again, that can be all you want to do. Somebody can want it really dark with very heavy blue coming through. Like we used to say, it's what the customer likes. So unfortunately, a lot of times the customer doesn't know what they like. So kind of nudge them in the right direction. So this is about the rate you're going to want to put it on. You start to see the little bumpy white. So that's probably too much. So I'll leave it there. But if you don't get it covered perfectly the first time, don't worry about it. Your next coat, followed up with a microfiber or a T-bar, you're going to get that millage, that stock you need on top. So a lot of people freak out because it's dried so fast, they're worried that you didn't put it on heavy enough. Well, certain parts of the concrete is denser than others too, so you just might have a softer part of the concrete. So, but some areas dry faster than others.
A little different highlight.
Oh, the barbecue. 1 to 10? Keeping it real? Yeah. You got bullshit.
A little camo effect.
The best barbecue you had at the concrete trainer. We don't sit down at the restaurant
To walk on in an hour or 2 or 30 minutes being outside or inside, you usually have about 24 to 36 hours maximum to be able to use the acetone and stain over it. Otherwise the sealer gets too hard and the acetone won't soften enough. The sealer will get too hard. It'll just be dust on top of a hard sealer. So if you walk on it and you're going to seal it after you put the acetone down and you see your footprint, that means it's resisting to the acetone. Or if you're spraying it up here, you're going to get dust over sealer too, so you got to be careful as well as spikes. You can obviously see we put a lot of stain on that and a lot more sealer on that. It's not going to have the sheen level that this already is going to have. So when something is ultra porous and you put a matte sealer on it, it's going to be super bad. When you put something super porous and put a gloss sealer on it, until you get film build for reflectivity, it's going to stay fairly dull. So that's where the surface profile is smoother. So then it's like people say, they say, we're going up to 200, we're going to put the matte sealer on. Why? What do they want to light, like a dull finish? Okay, go to 50s and put the matte on. Just refine the floor. Do it a 2-step with a hardener. Why go through the other passes just to get a dull floor? Doesn't make any sense. At 200, you're going to have a reflective surface, and you're going to try to knock down with a chemical matting agent and see if it doesn't make sense. And it takes more time, it takes more effort and time. So if you get 50 good floor and you want to put gloss on it, and make it look like 200 good floor, you put a couple of coats of sealer on and probably burnish it to get it to look like that. So that's where you might go, okay, let's go to 100 instead, and then put 2 coats on, furnish and not furnish. So you're only going to get as much reflectivity as the surface gives you to take it. So.
That's the sealer now? Yeah. After you do the dark color